Hello all, Alex here, welcome to the channel. So really this one's all about Space Wolves. So this is the first miniature that I've painted from the Space Wolves set that's arrived last week. So this is, I believe, one of the battle leaders. I don't know what the exact term is, but I really have had fun doing this one. So I'll talk you through some of the processes involved on it. So starting with the base, I made that out of cork, just wine cork really. So just broke them off and made them look like rocks, and then glued them to the base. And then I started putting in the icicles. So the icicles are strips of plastic, such as clear plastic, that I glued to the edges of the cork. And then I ran glue down them so they look kind of semi translucent. So I then used some green stuff world snow along with PVA and did a bit of snow here and there and the odd tuft. So I think it looks pretty good. But a few people have asked me how, what's the recipe for the painting. Some people have asked me how I do the faces. And I promised that I'd kind of do a video and tag them in and explain how the process. So basically I primed the miniature, the whole thing. I built it, and unusually for me, I painted it fully assembled. So it was a challenge here and there, but I think I got the hang of it in the end. But I primed it in grey to start with, a light grey. And then I used, for the armour, for the initial armour, I used this colour here, so the Fang. That was the first colour I put on it. And then once the Fang was put on, bearing in mind that I airbrushed the whole thing, or whether you airbrush or paint on, it doesn't matter, make any difference. Then I wanted to use some volumetric highlights. So what I then did was I used some Liquitex ink, and then I went through all the parts where the light would hit the miniature. So the top of the knee, for example, the top of the jetpacks, you can see just at the back there, so if I was to... So what I did with the airbrush is I went around very gently, just putting in some ink as volumetric highlights on the gauntlet, for example, and just where the light is hitting it naturally, And then once that was done, I did a varnish. So I gloss varnished it, which is something I don't ever use normally, but I've been watching El Ministrata do some of his fabulous work, and I've taken a lot of inspiration from him. So what I did then is I varnished it and I left it overnight, and then I came back to it, and then I've used oil on this. So with the oil that I bought the other day, I used it along with white spirits, and then I decided to do kind of a green plasma pistol. Not really a fan of green, but I thought it looked alright on this figure, so I used a slight bit of OSL Liquitex into the recesses, and I'm quite pleased with how that came out, and then a little bit of OSL coming off, not too much. And originally I was going to go with no metallics whatsoever on this miniature, and that's how I started with, but I caved in the end, and I used a little bit of gold on the edges of his shoulder guards and around that insignia, as you can see there, and the chain. So that's the only metallics on there, but the rest are non-metallics. So once I'd put in the pin wash, what I then decided to do was, once I'd done the volumetric highlights, I then used this, so it's contrast paint, Space Wolves Grey, and that gives you a slight contrast from the Fang, which is the base coat. So then I went around it with the airbrush very gently again, with that with the contrast Space Wolves grey, and that gave the difference in lighting, which I was really happy with. So yeah. So on the face then, I've tried to kind of incorporate how cold it is where he is, you know, so there's a few red blemishes on his nose and on his cheek. Yeah. And what I was saying to a couple of people that asked me how I do the faces, basically I coat the whole thing in Bugman's Glow. So I use this Bugman's Glow on the whole of the head, and then I go up in layers. So before I do anything else though, when I cover the face in Bugman's Glow, I always put the eye sockets in. So I would then do a strip. When I use this as my go-to white eye colour, so it's not completely white, it's kind of an off-white. So I then do a very small strip inside the eye socket just for the eye. And what that enables me to do is if I mess it up, then I can just revisit it with the Bugman's Glow until I'm happy with it. And let's see if we can close up without it losing focus. And I just find that very effective. And then what I tend to do then is I use Cadian Flesh Tone is the next paint I use as the second layer. So I build up in layers very thin, very watered down. You know, leaving details, i.e. the ear and the eye socket, and the recesses of the nose and cheeks and that sort of thing. So then I go around it in the Cadian Flesh Tone until I've covered most of it. And then I start looking at the highlights of where the light actually reflects from his head, and on his front of his forehead you'll see that that's a lighter flesh tone, and on the sides and the tips of his ears and running down his nose, and that sort of thing, and his cheekbones. And what I tend to use then is Kislev Flesh. Okay, so there's your 3 different flesh tones. And once that's done, is just to fettle with it. I try to go in around a few little places, just above the eyebrows, a little bit, maybe a little bit of glazing on the forehead, and a little bit of glazing on the cheekbones as a final one. And I use this colour here from Ammo, and that's basically how I do the faces. So I mean, this one's pretty easy because he's only got one eye, but yeah. But yeah, that's it. I mean, what I haven't done though is I haven't put any kind of weathering onto the armour, and I'm kind of worried about doing it because I wanted to do some scratches and some bullet pings and that sort of thing, and I've done probably one of the nicest jobs I've ever done, and I didn't want to ruin it, so I've kind of left it clean. Tell me what you think. If you think I should put some weathering into it and some damage, battle damage, or has he just got a brand new set of armor and he's just come out the factory with it? So I don't know, but yeah. So that is that's the battle leader for the Space Wolves. That's the first one. I've got a lot of commission work to do. I don't think there's any rush on it. Gary's kind of said it's not going to be getting anything until the end of the year, but so I have bought a couple more sets for the Space Wolves, even though I've got the whole set to do. So I've bought this guy. This is Arjak Rockfist. It's one of the fine casts. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of the fine cast stuff, but this miniature looks interesting. So I'm going to get around to doing this eventually. So he will be in addition to the Space Wolves army that I'm starting with. And then I bought this one here. This is Ragnar Blackmane. So yeah, I shall get round to him sometime as well. So he looks like quite an interesting figure as well. So that's the purchases, and that's what I've been up to. But hopefully you like it. I do, and what I'll do is I'll keep plugging away on these, and I'll put some more content up when I've got that. But for now, thanks for watching. and I'll catch you on the next video.